Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 29 of the Current Review podcast. It's me, Andrew Lambrecht, with my co-host, as usual, Tessa Berente. And
Hey, everyone.
today we will be discussing some of the best used EV deals to buy this summer. Because right now the market's getting hot. There's so many great options out there. And I think we have to discuss them because, frankly, I don't think a lot of people realize how good these deals are getting. And yeah, I think we got a few vehicles to go through. We have several interesting ones on this list. We don't even have all Teslas, some other really great electric cars out there. And we're super excited to go through these vehicles with you all. And without further ado, we can start going straight into this with the 2021 Tesla Model 3. This car is really affordable now. You can get them for around like $20,000 to $21,000 used with pretty low miles too. Like we're talking like 50, 60,000 miles, which is not bad at all for a pretty reliable car. And I think Tessa, you had a pretty good use case for this vehicle. Could you refresh me on that?
Yeah, of course. So when I was going through these, I figured who would be the ideal customer for this Tesla Model 3, right? And came up with the idea of a 34-year-old male software engineer named Leo. Now, Leo could also be named Jack or Paul, depending on your preference, but he has to be 5'11", standing with some dark brown hair, neatly trimmed beard. And what he drives his Tesla Model 3 for is to and from work. Now, where does he work, you might ask? He has to work at a climate-focused tech startup because that is what this Tesla Model 3 strives in, to and from his new tech startup. Black thermos of coffee in his center console. He takes a minimalist apartment right into work every day. Now, Leo was pulled towards this car after rewatching Her one night, the movie all of us know and love, Her. He was alone in his apartment, laptop balanced on knees, exactly. And the next morning, without fully planning to, he bookmarked a listing for this Tesla Model 3 and thought, you know what? Based on Her, the future's already here. Might as well drive the new Tesla Model 3. And so that is our ideal customer, 5'11", brown-haired Leo with the Tesla 3.
I like that a lot. At least
Thank
I think
you.
in my story, I would probably lean more towards Paul. I think Paul might be a little bit more fitting.
Okay.
But I think regardless, that's just describing me in about 10 years. So I guess I'll
Andrew
have to live up
Lambrecht.
to that.
Replace every time I said the word Jack with Andrew Lambrecht, and you have him. You have him, his tech startup, his black coffee thermos, watching Her late at night alone. There we go.
Oh, boy. All right. And I guess if you can see my screen, is it working? Because we're using a new software. Okay. I spent $3,000 on this software. So if everyone would please give me a little like on this video to make up for it. Anyways, on this, we can now see that these Model 3s have gotten pretty affordable used. So if we just filter to under 50,000 miles, for example, we can see a lot of these cars going for not that much money. And we have a lot of trims you can actually get. So you can get maybe a 2021 Standard Range Plus. This one has around a 50 kilowatt hour battery pack, offers about 250 miles of range. Pretty good performance overall, 0 to 60 in about 5.3 seconds. And I mean, look, these cars are going for less than $20,000 now with pretty low miles. This one has under 25,000. That's not a bad deal at all. You can even get long ranges. I have a 2021 Model 3 long range as well. Great car. It doesn't quite get the range that Tesla says. Tesla says it gets around 353 miles. I get more like 270, 280. But nonetheless, it's still a great car. Great performance with the dual motor all-wheel drive. And yeah, the range is actually pretty good in real-world conditions. And there's just a bunch of them out there for not all that much money. And I think this is really good for just a wide range of people. I mean, whether you are in rideshare or just need a good car to commute, I mean, this is, I would say, one of the best options on the market. Just value what you get. And I think I'll also point out, too, is you can actually find the LFP ones. This would be 2022 or newer, and these are the rear-wheel drive ones. And still around $20,000. These offer around like 272 miles of range, and you'll get pretty close to that in real world. So overall, I think the Model 3s are great options, and they're not going for all that much money. Good performance. They're quite reliable. I've never had any serious issues with my Teslas. And yeah, I think they're definitely worth a look if you're interested in going electric. So I think Model 3, great option. Do you have any more thoughts on this one?
I have a question for you actually. So
All right.
as a new expert on EVs myself, I was curious. So when I was thinking why should I buy this car, one of the biggest selling points that it gave me was the autopilot and full self-drive features, including this summon feature where you can
Yes.
apparently summon the car to you. Is that typical or is this just on this car?
So all Tesla models built after 2017 have the FSD computer on them. And that basically means the car is almost fully autonomous ready. I say almost because it will drive you from point A to point B if you have FSD. FSD, by the way, costs $8,000 for the software package or $99 a month. Now, the thing is, if you find a used one with FSD already on, then you don't have to pay for it. You got the package already.
That's the
It's just the
jackpot.
software.
Okay.
Yes. And that's great. And I've had FSD before. It works pretty well. It will make some issues here and there. So you got to like always be alert. Like, I'll give you an example. We were approaching, this was actually to our regional trip. It was me,
Okay, in the
Landon,
Tesla.
Tim, and Maddie. Yeah, we were all in the
I
Model
remember.
3. Yeah, it was awesome. And we were driving out of Mississippi. So basically, we were in this lane. There was an exit lane over here. So we had to get over the exit lane. The car ahead of us was like driving, speed limit was 45. Car ahead of us was also going 45. And the Tesla decided to like pass this guy when the exit was 0.3 miles up the road.
Oh
And we
no.
were going like 65 and a 45. And the car was doing this all because the FSD can
Yeah.
now modulate the speed to whatever it feels like it's necessary, and
Oh,
like
oh,
basically cut
perfect.
this guy off. And it was actually pretty terrifying. But I
Yeah.
will say on the highway, FSD does great most of the times. It
Okay.
will drive you if there's, someone who's going a little bit slower, it'll pass them. And now you don't even need your hands on the wheels. So you can literally just look forward and the car will drive for you.
Hands
But now
off.
if you use your phone, it will get really mad at you. And
Go
also
beep.
what I found out, eating a burrito because it thinks that's a phone. I think,
Interesting. So if you're
yes.
even if you're staring at it in the eyes, eating
Correct.
your burrito.
You're
Okay,
staring at it
okay.
in the eyes, eating a burrito. It does not like that, um, which is
Okay.
a
We'll
little
have to let
unfortunate.
Leo know. Leo and Paul before they start driving. No
Leo and Paul,
burritos
yeah,
in their new
no
Tesla.
burritos. No, maybe, and that was with a Taco Bell burrito. Maybe a Chipotle burrito is different. We don't know.
Or
This is
most
something
okay.
that we could do some testing on at a
Oh, I
later point in
agree.
the future.
Maybe. Yeah.
So,
Sounds great.
but I guess overall, the TODR answer to the Model 3 is it's a great deal. You can find great options used. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth a look if you want a good, reliable car. One issue is insurance is a bit high on them just because Teslas are more expensive to repair. Like someone hit me in my Model 3 last year and it was just front fender and front door damage. And the total came out to 16,500, which is
Wow.
insane.
That's
No,
like one of
like,
these. Yeah.
yeah, it was not great. It's because that's like the
That's a
car's
whole
worth
new
around
used
20.
car. Yeah.
Yeah. So they could have just totaled my car, which would have been fine, but they didn't. Anyways, yeah. So they're expensive to repair. But if you're
Just don't
fine
get in
with
a crash.
just don't get in a crash.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Easy. Easy.
So our next car on the list, that was Model 3. I will put a little graphic in here or not, depending on how I feel when I edit this. But around $20,000, Model 3, great option. The next car on the list is the Mercedes EQS. This is a very interesting car. They're selling for around $35,000 used and up. I'd say 35 is on the low end. It's pretty hard to find them for that price, but there's plenty of them for under 40 now. And I think this is one of the most interesting used electric cars you can get. And as I pull this up right now, we can kind of go over some of the specs and features. The Mercedes EQS in the base model has a range of 350 miles, which is a lot, and pretty good charging speeds, nothing too crazy. But where the real benefit with this car is just the features. So you get lots of features on here. You get ventilated massaging seats as standard, plenty of other stuff. And if we look here, now, like I said, 350 miles of range. Horsepower is around 329, nothing too crazy, rear wheel drive. Interestingly, a lot of these are listed incorrectly because there is no EQS 450 4MATIC at this early year. They have it now, but these are not all-wheel drive. These are rear-wheel drive, and I think this is pretty crazy. Like right here at Mercedes-Benz of Escondido, um, pretty poor dealership rating, but that's an aside. But point is, you can get one possibly, depending on how this dealership works, for $32,420 with 58,000 miles, and that's a CPO. So you get a additional 1 year unlimited mileage, bumper to bumper warranty covering anything that goes wrong. And this car was around $110,000 brand new. So that is some crazy depreciation. And yeah, I think this is definitely worth a look at this point. And I mean, you get great features. You get a Burmester sound system as well. Sounds pretty good, and decent amount of storage space. But yeah, I think maybe the big thing with this car is it probably just costs too much money brand new. That is a big thing with this vehicle. But other than that, it's not a bad deal at all used, especially in the low 30s, which is pretty sick. And just
yeah, this was my favorite when we were looking at them. It was marketed with, oh no, can you hear me? Yep, it was marketed with a spacious interior and luxury comfort with hyperscreen advanced inside technology.
Yes.
So this got me really good when we were looking at it. I thought if I am to get an EV, this is probably my favorite. But I'm curious, if you had a target customer, Andrew, would I fit it or would it be different?
You know, I think you'd be close. You'd be pretty close. But at least when I think of the targeted customer, like who drives a Mercedes EQS? Like who has this vehicle?
Yeah.
I usually think, I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me. But usually what I would think is like a guy named Rolf, who's German, by the way. He would buy he would buy one of these certified pre-owned Mercedes EQS vehicles. Because it's like his transition vehicle, right? Like he's on his third divorce. He currently has an investigation in Liechtenstein, and there's some fallout because he wasn't invited to the World Economic Forum in Davos because he had a beef with one of the guys there. And but he buys his car, and he usually goes to Whole Foods where he parks diagonally and then buys $200 worth of cheese, while his Bichon Frise, which is a dog breed for people who are unfamiliar, and the dog is named Marcel, waits inside of the Mercedes EQS, curled up on a cashmere scarf. And every Wednesday, he takes his nephew Stefan to the orthodontist. And I mean, it's not really a car, I'd say at this point. The EQS is kind of like an escape valve for life with ambient lighting. I'm not sure if that was kind of the idea you had.
No, I mean, I've been to Liechtenstein once as well. So
really?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, right? With that one.
You've actually been to Liechtenstein?
Yeah, actually, summer after my freshman year at college, 2022, that
really?
summer, my dad researches in Liechtenstein, and one of his best friends is a professor at that university. So we went and stayed with him and saw the area. Like? Yeah, so funny enough, it's gorgeous actually. It's really small, a really, really small country. I think it's right next to Germany, but don't quote me on that.
I think
it's beautiful. Perfect. Yeah, it was really nice. The food was great. We went out and they had live music with people dancing in the streets. Small town, everyone knew each other. It was beautiful. His house, actually, this was really cool. You know, I could picture this car in Liechtenstein now that you say it, the Mercedes EQS. So there's the back house, right? Floor to ceiling window is the whole entire wall of this back house that overlooks this beautiful river with a stone bridge that goes into the town. I can't make this up. That was my view.
That's insane.
Picture instead of the stone bridge, the Mercedes EQS.
On the stone bridge or instead of
the stone bridge?
On the stone bridge.
On the stone bridge. Pardon, with Rolf. I could see. Oh, funny enough, the guy who we stayed at, his name was Stefan. So Rolf's nephew,
yeah,
was who I stayed with.
The nephew going to the orthodontist.
It must have been. That's why
it would be interesting what operation Stefan would be getting at the orthodontist. Yeah, I'm not sure if just the regular braces or maybe he just needs the top teeth instead of the bottom. I'm not sure.
Yeah, wisdom teeth removal. That could be it. It's around that time.
Yeah, that time of the year.
But yeah. So I could, as I said, hit it right on the head. I think Ralph, Tessa, same difference with these Mercedes customers.
But you mentioned the hyperscreen, which is interesting. So the hyperscreen, unfortunately, a lot of the used ones don't have it. And I'll actually share my screen and this will
Oh,
work this time.
interesting.
So not all of them have it. This is an optional extra, but it is crazy. So this is what it looks like, where like the
Yeah.
entire dashboard is separated into 3 screens. Then you got the ambient lighting and all that stuff. It
See,
looks
that's what
pretty
I
sick.
picture when I think of luxury electric vehicle, that inside right there.
Yeah, and it's like it is very futuristic, and I don't know, but I could, and this is what the base model is like, by the way. So base model, like mostly used ones you'd find, will look just like that. And yeah, I
Gotcha.
mean, this isn't bad per se, but
No.
definitely the hyperscreen is a lot cooler. I'm not sure if Rolf would spring for the hyperscreen. Probably Stefan would want to, but then Rolf would just let him know. Rolf is like, hey, the hyperscreen does cost more money. It's hard to
Yeah.
find them with the hyperscreen because not all the owners who originally bought this car brand new got the hyperscreen, and he'll have to explain that to Stefan. Hopefully, Stefan will understand. But
Yeah.
I'm honestly not sure how Stefan would react.
I will
So,
take it. That would be
you
hard,
think he would
especially
take it?
after the third divorce. I don't know. I think he might have to. He might have to after that third divorce for poor Rolf. But I could see as a kid, I would think the hyperscreen is cool. But the hint is if you never had the hyperscreen before, you don't know what you're missing.
Correct.
So that's what
That's
I
a
would
good way
think.
to view
That's what I
life.
thank you. So he doesn't even know it exists. If he doesn't even know it's out there, he'll be just happy with the base model. He'll be actually thrilled with the base model if he doesn't even know that there's an option for better.
So I think that's a good lesson in life, and that is when you're buying a 2022 Mercedes EQS certified pre-owned, don't tell your nephew that there's the hyperscreen. Just let your nephew believe that all of them come standard with just that nice middle screen, because it is a nice screen. It's not a bad screen at all.
I
It still
agree.
looks nice. But yeah, once you have the idea of the hyperscreen, it does make you want to spend more money. Um,
Yeah, well, we can just focus on the ambient lighting, which is still in the base model,
exactly.
right?
Ambient
Just
lighting's really
focus on
cool.
that. Yeah.
And the ambient lighting, I think there's a mode. So like depending on drive mode, it changes colors, I think. But the
Oh,
cool thing is when you like accelerate, you can actually make the lights like spread throughout the cabin the faster you
like
go.
a
And
racetrack, like
yeah,
Super Mario style.
and so that's pretty sick. I'm trying to think about other stuff about the EQS though.
Now,
Because
does
the
it
EQ
have? It doesn't. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, does it have the self-driving like all the Tesla as high?
it does. I'm honestly not sure which trim levels you need to get for it, but I believe it will do lane centering, so steer itself on the highway and it will pass people.
Gotcha.
So it's very similar to like what auto or Tesla's full self driving will do. But
Gotcha.
it is, I think it's a little different. Like it won't do
Okay.
everything because FSD it'll like drive on country roads, it'll stop for pedestrians. I don't think Mercedes system will do all that, but Mercedes has a new system out, I believe in newer EQSs in Europe, and I think they might be moving that feature into America too, where you can
Great.
actually go full hands free, and you can even like play Tetris on the hyperscreen as you're driving on the highway.
Wow.
And then you got like a
That's
little like
confidence.
aqua light in the tail light, and that aqua light when it's on, and no like other drivers will know that it's on self driving mode, which is pretty sick.
That's a good safety feature to have that other drivers know too, so they're more aware in case something goes up, like they might not ride right on your tail
Yeah,
as close while you're
just
playing Tetris.
just you're eating $1.49 burrito from Taco Bell and just playing Tetris. You do
That's
one of
it.
those moves on Tetris, and there's like you get like 5 yellow bricks in a row, and it's like that'd be so sick. Um,
It'd be incredible as you're swallowing your burrito, and
yep,
it's bliss. That's heaven. That's what
bliss.
heaven feels like.
That is that would be the dream. Rolf will be living it very soon. And I think
Yeah.
the other thing with this car is this is really cool. So the Mercedes EQS has a 10-year or 155,000 mile battery warranty. The
Wow.
the average is 8-year 100,000 mile because that's mandated by the government. But this one on the Mercedes EQS 10-year or 155,000 miles is impressive. Now, the only thing is I'm not going to say that this is like a super reliable car because I know of owners who have even messaged me on LinkedIn who are like, hey, I have a Mercedes EQS and I'm having a lot of issues with it. So I would tread carefully. Maybe look at a Carfax because some cars have had more issues than other. So I'm not like a Model 3. I'm like, buy any Model 3. You can drive that thing probably at a 300,000 miles and you won't have any severe issues with it. The Mercedes, I can't really say that. So I just say maybe prepare to have some money set aside in case something goes wrong. And I think you have to do that with most Mercedes products. Like if I buy a Mercedes S-Class or something like that, you're probably going to have an issue appear down the road that you got to fix. I would assume the EQS, at least powertrain wise, is more efficient, or sorry, more reliable. It's also more efficient, but I can't quite recommend it for the reliability just because I'm not that familiar with them. But I don't know. I've seen some with Carfaxes that haven't really shown any issues pop up. But yeah. But I think at least if you get CPO, you got a year to like figure out if there's any issues with it. But yeah, overall, great range, pretty big battery, great interior, very quiet. It even has optional rear axle steering, so you can have tighter turning radius. I'd say if you want something exciting that's cool and luxurious, I would definitely recommend checking out the EQS. And our next vehicle is none other than the Volkswagen ID.4. And these cars have come down in price a lot. So you can now get them for as low as like $17,000, which I think is a great deal. Brand new, they're a little expensive. I will actually never recommend an ID.4 brand new. You know this, Tessa. I would never recommend a brand new ID.4. But used, I think it's definitely worth a look. And we can actually pull up some of these examples of the Volkswagen ID.4 because these have gotten really, really impressively affordable. And yes, my link works this time. So if I share my screen, oh, that's a wrong button. If I share my screen, sorry. Yeah, so for the record, this is a new podcast software I've used. Like I said, it was $3,000, and so far it's been pretty decent. Except you can't do backgrounds. I'm doing a background right now because I have a MacBook, but Tessa does not, so she does not get a background.
I also
Unfortunately,
found out I was just raising my hand that whole entire time. So I just shut that feature off. But,
sorry, do you have a question?
no, I'm sorry. Yes. Please show me some pictures of the Volkswagen ID.4.
All right. So the Volkswagen ID.4. I mean, look at these prices. 16,000. That's not bad. Look at this one, Echo Park, which is a good dealership. I do recommend them. They're not a bad one. Actually, I have to click here. Can you still see my screen, Tessa?
Yeah. Yep. You're good.
Fantastic. So this car right here is a 2021 Volkswagen ID.4 Pro. This is kind of like the base model. It doesn't have a ton of features on it. As you can see, cloth seats. It's a little flaccid, the interior, I would say. There's more exciting interiors out there. But this car has only 32,000 miles on the odometer. $17,000. I mean, that price is unbeatable. You get about 250 miles of range, not much horsepower, 201 horsepower on the base rear-wheel drive model. It's not that fast. It's not really that fun to drive. It's just a good all-around car for commuting, that stuff. And yeah, I think this price is really impressive. Because like, what else are you going to get for $17,000? It's like, there's people who spend $17,000 on like designer handbags, and yet you can get a full car, a full Volkswagen ID.4 Pro for the same price. So not bad at all. Like I said, kind of not great looking interior. You kind of need the higher trim levels, but overall, not a bad car. And this car, based on Recurrent, as I will share my screen here, we can kind of see more data on this. And yeah, I mean, we're looking at around maybe 230 to 256 miles of range, depending on weather, which is not bad. And this car also has pretty decent charging as well. Can accept, I believe, around 125 to 135 kilowatts, and charging is fine. It's not crazy fast like a Kia EV6, but it's not terrible either. But yeah, I think overall these are pretty decent cars. And Tessa, you had some thoughts on this car as well.
Yeah, I did. I actually, my thoughts are kind of pitching this car, right? So who do we think would drive this car? As you said, not necessarily the most fancy exterior kind or interior, pardon me, kind of flaccid, if you will. So for this reason, I would say a 41-year-old woman who is a UX designer with shoulder length auburn hair, not too shiny, not more dull. I would say more flaccid hair to match the flaccid interior of this car, named Erin. would be our ideal candidate to drive this car.
And that's Erin,
Erin is
correct?
Erin.
Or
Yes,
is this
basic.
like the Y? Like she would do like ERYN?
No, she's too basic to YN
She's
it. I'm pretty sure
she's
Erin.
mm,
ER.
she's reserved.
Basic might not be the rest. Yes, that's a better word. That's a better word.
Reserved.
Reserved
Traditionalist.
to match her name. Traditional. Yes. Thank you. She'll also actually be found in traditional earth toned colors as well. So typically some greens, browns. You could throw a very, very muted orange in there if you wanted to as well to kind of match her hair. She likes to do that sometimes. She typically has a canvas tote who rides shotgun with her and tote bag.
Yep.
Not not a 17,000. She's very minimalist. She
Yeah.
liked the great
No
deal on this
Balenciaga.
car, so no Valencia, unfortunately. She liked the deal of this car, and so she also liked the deal for her tote bags, $250 from the Dollar General. And folk music is typically playing through the speakers of this car as she goes between her pollinator garden at her home and her co-op workspace downtown. She takes weekend hikes as well and nearby state parks, which she also uses this model to drive to and from. It feels like a bridge in her conscience between family and independence, nature and technology, and comfort in her own conscious thought. It really, 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 really lays it down for her. I mean, come on, when you see this car, you have to think a balance between independence and family, nature and technology, comfort and conscience.
For sure.
1,000%. First words that come to mind,
sure.
obviously. She actually chose this car, interestingly enough, after an offhand conversation with a 70-year-old woman at the seed counter kiosk in the back of a hardware store. So they were talking. This woman drove a bright blue pickup truck, and Erin immediately thought, this is a sign to buy the Volkswagen ID.4. She saw on Pinterest the day before, just randomly as she was scrolling, and this talk with the woman really spoke her to. They were talking about seeds, composting, prairie restoration, etc., and it really just drove her to get this car. Yes, that is it.
I gotta agree with that. There, I don't think
Thank
you
you.
missed on anything.
Any
that
no
is interesting
notes.
because normally I don't really see seeds at the
Ace Hardware.
I don't know. I've never been to an Ace Hardware recently. I probably should go.
Oh, Andrew, you should. It's my favorite store on Tiger Boulevard, actually, in
Really?
Clemson, South Carolina. Yes, the Ace Hardware has everything. They have storage containers, they have seeds, they actually have candy at the checkout, as well as wooden planks and even plungers for your toilet.
Interesting. I
They
should
have
definitely go.
everything. They
I wish
have
I went.
everything. It's not just a mere hardware store. Let me tell you that.
It's an
They're great.
experience.
This is not an ad. Also, I'll add. This is not an ad for Ace Hardware. I just have to throw that out there. It's
not an ad.
personal testimony.
Our sponsors are Raytheon and the Storage Wars show. So those are our two sponsors. We won't take any money from anyone else.
No, unless they give it to me. My Venmo is Tessa Berente. Personally.
Okay. Do you have a hyphen in there or?
No hyphen, just straight through hyphen. Tessa Berente.
That's pretty cool how you got that. Because I think my Venmo is not. It's like Andrew L and then like 3394. And I don't even know why it shows those numbers. But
maybe they were to you at the time.
That was because that was my Snapchat. Because I made my Snapchat account and it was just like it because I just did Andrew L and then it was like that was taken. I'm like, dang. And then it was like 3394. And so that's been my number. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of nice. That's perfect. Yeah, but this car, I would say nothing fancy or flashy about it. Just kind of a practical, good, reliable option for an EV. Just what 41-year-old Erin needed.
That's interesting. Now, I will say, because we were talking about the interior.
Unless you disagree, please.
I was dissing on the base model ID.4 because I will say the more expensive ID.4 is actually pretty sick. So if you find like this or this one right here, ID.4 Pro S, all right, this one right here looks about the same from the outside, but it changes on the inside. So if we see this, we get nice leatherette seats, and these seats actually have a massaging function in them. Now, I have experienced this, not the best massage, not a shiatsu or whatever they call it, not crazy, but it was actually a decent massage, and you got a cooler dashboard, you got some brown accents up there, back seats are cooler, and you also get a nice panoramic roof up there that opens up
That
And what I
roof is
mean
great.
opens up, it like the whole glass roof is fixed, but that shade goes away.
Oh, it tilts. Okay, okay.
And yeah, this is nicer. Now I will say, if even any ID.4, every ID.4 has a pretty bad sound system. I think maybe 2025 they added in a different one, but the base sound system is not that great. It's so when Aaron listens to like the Lumineers and maybe of Monster or yeah, of Monsters and Men. I'm trying to think of some other folk bands. Mumford and Sons. When she listens to those bands, it's not
Right.
going to be like a riveting experience in the cabin just because the sound system isn't good. That's why, you know, Rolf would probably have more fun listening to like Metallica in his Burmester sound system Mercedes EQS as opposed to this
Perfect.
vehicle. But yeah, I think, but overall, I think the interior is a lot nicer if you get the more expensive one. And like this one is still relatively low miles, 47,000, but it's like 18,000 bucks, which is still a great deal. Um, yeah, so definitely something to consider. And I think also about the ID.4, to point out, you can get in rear or all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive makes more horsepower. It makes about 295, so it's actually pretty quick. 0 to 60 in, let's say, around 5 seconds. And yeah, 250-ish miles of range. And yeah, overall, it's very comfortable to drive. Software has a little bit to desire. I would say the software is not too great in there. It's a little wonky, difficult to use. Wouldn't pass the human factors test, in my opinion. And yeah, but also on the pros, it has a really tight turning radius, so it's great for maneuvering around town. And yeah, handles fine. Suspension's pretty good. So overall, not a bad car. And I think it's crazy how you can get some for not a lot of money these days. Because really, you can't get much for around that price, and for like 17, 18 grand, I think it's a pretty awesome deal. um, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good to me. It sounds practical, everyday use, a good, solid EV.
Great. And now we're on
Perfect.
to a slightly different car, a different take on the electric crossover, I'd say. It is the Tesla Model Y. You can't really go wrong with this car. It has some faults, but it's also a pretty good car overall. So I will get this car ready here. And as we can see, this car, you can get some Model Ys for not much money, like this. Like here's some for 18,000. These are all non-accidents, by the way. But I would probably aim for like under 60,000 miles as opposed to like 113, just because it's nicer getting something that's a little bit newer. And like here, I mean, we got $21,000 for a 2022 Model Y long range all wheel drive. EPA says around 326 miles of range. Realistically, you're looking more at, I'd say, like 280, 290, probably in that ballpark. And yeah, I think overall, I mean, this car is pretty awesome. You get great software updates, just like the Model 3. Good performance, 0 to 60, like 4.8 seconds, no issues there. And yeah, it's a pretty good car overall. As we can see, some listings, I'll try to find one with a dealership with a better rating. But like right here, we got a nice blue Model Y, 20-inch wheels that look a little bit better. And yeah, great interior, lots of space, and yeah, good performance. I don't really have much to say about the car besides that, because I think the Model Y is pretty, like, if you go to California, literally everyone's driving a Model Y, and you probably see that. Like, are there a lot of EVs in Indiana?
Not really,
Really?
Indiana, I can't say is ahead of the curve yet, with all of that, and I think it's because we get so cold in the winter. I'm not really sure how that affects the mileage and how it goes, but when I was looking into it, I think the range is lower when it's really cold outside. Is
Mm-hmm.
that right? So I
Yes.
think that might be it, just because we get a lot from the lake effect and everything. But we do have charging stations. I've seen a few. They've all been Teslas at the charging stations. I will say. So I'm not sure if it's the Y or not. I did wonder what kind of makes the Y different from the Model 3, because you raved about the Model 3, and this one's more like around the same, I guess, 18,000 versus 20,000. So what would be like? Why would someone take this over that one?
So this has so
Mhm.
they're on the exact same platform. They share, I don't know the exact part count, but I think it's like around 70% of the parts that they share together.
Okay,
And
interesting.
basically this is like more of an SUV. You get a lot more storage space. Um at the expense of some noise, vibration, harshness. So basically, Model 3 is a sedan. So you have
Okay,
basically this is the
gotcha.
vehicle, and then in the sedan, you have basically this cutoff area where the passengers sit because the trunk is separate from the car. But in the Model Y, the trunk is part of the car. So if you
Is the
hear
car.
like a
Okay.
vibration, it will like echo throughout the entire vehicle, and it makes the Model Y a little bit of a noisier car to drive. Something I've noticed. But otherwise, I think for practicality, Model Y has so much more space. Like I've done road trips in my Model 3 and it's kind of cramped back there for the people sitting in the back seat. Model Y, you're gonna have a lot more space. It's gonna be a lot more relaxing for the people riding with you. But I would say for most people, they go with Model Y. You can see that in the sales numbers. Model Y always outsells Model 3. Um,
Interesting.
and I'm trying to think about some other reasons why to get a Model Y. But I mean, they're literally the same car. Like you'll literally get in both of them, and you're like, oh, this is Model 3. It just sits up kind of higher.
Fire and is nice, which would make it probably more fun and easier to drive. And especially with you were
Yes,
saying how the trunk goes into the car. I mean, think you could store like a Christmas tree easier
yes,
in a
exactly.
Model Y than you could in a three. So, but I'm curious. So, do you have a family, someone who would potentially buy a Christmas tree? You think as
I
the ideal customer?
I'm trying to think of who this. I mean, this car really targets a lot of people, but I kind of imagine, maybe like hmm, maybe like a 28-year-old woman named Celeste who's buying the Model Y because it's like part of her new chapter, right? Like something kind
Okay.
of along
Okay.
those lines. And
Yeah.
she tells people that she bought the Model Y for the environment, but really she just kind of likes it because the white interior looks pretty cool. Which I agree. I think the white interior is the better interior. Have you seen the white interior on the Teslas before?
I have not
Okay.
actually. I've only ever seen
Well,
black. Mhm.
we'll pull that up real quick. We'll pull that up because the
Right.
white interior is really nice. And what's funny is
Yeah.
it's actually a different it's a different material they use than the black seats, and they actually seem to like not get stains as much. So this is like the white interior in Tesla. So it's
Okay.
like the seats are literally white. Like it's
That's I
very
really like
stark.
that. I mean, even in the summer, imagine how hot it gets.
Yeah.
California, south of the Mason-Dixon line, the
Hmm.
white seats would be a game changer down there.
For sure. And yeah, I think and they look cool too. Like if you like it's just interesting because like especially when people like look at a car, you normally don't see white seats, and these seats are pure white, which is pretty sick. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think they're pretty cool. So, anyways, that's why Celeste bought the Model Y, because she
Yes.
found one
Okay.
with white interior. And she would probably like go to Erewhon. And for people who aren't like from the West Coast, Erewhon is like this very like expensive grocery store. Like they literally will
Okay.
sell like $20 smoothies there. And people are in there and they're like,
Wow.
yeah, this is my $20 smoothie. But it's in a glass bottle, which is nice so you don't get the microplastics. So something to
Okay.
consider. But
Yeah.
yeah, she goes to Erewhon to buy sea moss for $19, and
Got you.
every Sunday she picks up her like French bulldog named Klaus from his
Oh,
acupuncture clinic in Malibu, whispering to
okay.
herself, "We're not healing, we're evolving."
That's that's beautiful. That's a beautiful mantra. We are not healing, Andrew, but we're evolving.
We're
And that's,
evolving.
that's probably what this car stands for.
Hmm.
Evolving. They're not healing when someone crashes into your car and it costs $16,000 to replace, they're not healing. They're evolving by creating a whole new car, giving you a whole new model.
Well, the other thing too to think about is to be healing, you had to have been broken in the first place. But if you weren't broken in the
Well,
first place, you're merely evolving.
that's so she was never broken. Celeste was never
No,
ever broken.
the
Not
Model
in the
Y
first
just
place.
helped
Nor
her
was
achieve nirvana
perfect with Klaus by her side.
with Klaus.
Um,
And next on our list of interesting EVs to buy is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. So this is a really cool car. I think visually this is one of the most attractive, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, vehicles on the road because the Mach-E is not bad at all. It looks really good, and I will be pulling this up right now, and you can get some great deals on these cars, which is incredible. So you can get some of these in the low $20,000 range, which is quite impressive. And as I get this pulled up here, we have the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and these prices are coming down. Obviously, I would probably not recommend one with like 130,000 miles, but if we can just filter out the accident ones and under 50,000 miles, it's like, look at that. $21,000 for a Ford Mustang Mach-E, 44,000 miles on the odometer. This thing is looking quite good. Nice paint color as well. This is a select, so you don't get like a ton of features. Like you don't even get heated seats as standard, and that's a little depressing. No heat pump. That's just kind of like that's sort of a range saving feature, which we can kind of dive into in a later episode. But you get decent autonomous features. You get adaptive cruise control, lane centering, that stuff. Power is not too crazy in these cars. So 266 horsepower for both rear and all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive to 0 to 60 in like low 5-second range. Rear-wheel drive is probably more around 6. But decent performance. It kind of flattens off once you get faster. So if you like punch the accelerator at like 50, it's not really like that crazy or anything. Definitely not like the Model Y is a lot quicker than this, especially the standard range versions. But range is great. So you get pretty much what the EPA range says in real world. So this one's rated at 211 miles by the EPA, but I mean, you can get as high as like 222, at least what Recurrent estimates. And this is used too. So something to consider. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good car overall and definitely worth looking into. Good range, okay charging, peaks out at 115 kilowatts DC, which is fine. It's like probably going to take around like 37 to 40 minutes to go from 10 to 80, which is not that fast. But if you're maybe not doing road trips all the time, this is definitely an option to consider.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking into this car, I think the big thing that it was saying was its flashiness with the acceleration. The 0 to 100 from stop to go was the big thing that I saw, at least, that rivals gas sports cars, it was saying online, which is interesting. And for me, like, because of this, that's probably why I would pick the ideal client to be a 29-year-old marketing strategist named Jules, who is 5'9" with platinum blonde buzzed hair, and she occasionally dyes the tips pink. I would say she has like a sharp streetwear style, and she drives a red Ford Mustang Mach-E. And that's because she likes the statement, how fast, bold, and unapologetically electric this car is. Her days go between agency meetings in the city, rooftop social events, and short drives to art installations or desert festivals, which is right next to where she lives. So
Like
not really a
Coachella?
big road tripper. Yeah, such as
Coachella.
Coachella, or actually desert festivals as well. So in perhaps just a desert festival that she and her friends throw.
See, that's interesting because I think
Yeah.
Coachella would be cool to go to, but then I also know it will
Yeah.
cost a lot of money. That's why all the people are financing their tickets on Klarna. Did you see that? Like these people, like they want to go Coachella, so they're just like financing their tickets.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Maybe because they have cars like the Mustang Mach-E new when they could just be getting them used.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have to finance your Coachella ticket. You and Jules could just go typically without financing it because you have it as a late night escapade. You know what? Speaking of late night escapades, that's actually what made Jules want to purchase a Mustang Mach-E in the first place.
And
You
how
know,
was
I
that?
picture her. I picture her after a late night escapade at the gas station in her, sports car that she drives, muscleless, but it's a gas guzzler. It's not electric yet. And she's just staring in the window as she's filling it up with gas, and she thinks to herself, there has to be a version of this car that feels more like me. And at that moment, a Ford Mustang Mach-E just drove right past her in the gas station, and then it was sold. So, she got that. No more gas because she's like, I just need it more like me. And this electric car really just felt more like her, but it had the same 0 to 100 that, a sports car might kind of give you if you get the right model, the right colors, the right flashiness. It could really just settle that tone with you. So that's my personal opinion. I don't know if you have any notes or other ideas on this car.
Interesting. That was very European of you to say 0 to 100, because
Thanks.
that's
Is that
that's
is that accurate in
so
my
0 to 1. So
professional
normally
experience?
they say so. Okay, normally I say 0 to 100 like kilometers per hour. So that's the acceleration.
Yes.
Because we say 0 to 60 in the United States, and
Oh,
in Europe, because the thing is, 100 kilometers per hour is equal to
okay.
62 miles per hour, which is interesting.
Wow.
But
That is interesting. That that
basically,
could throw
our
people for
zero
a
to
loop.
60 is like
Mhm.
98 miles, or sorry, 98 kilometers per hour there.
Wow. So we have better than they do.
We will
Wait,
have
if ours is 98 and never mind. Never mind, ignore me.
yeah, we will
Mhm.
have like quicker looking time 0 to 60 than they will
Yes.
0 to 100, because it's like a
Mhm.
2-ish mile per hour difference. So
Yeah. Yeah, so it
yeah,
makes it seem which is interesting. But if you don't need to go 0 to 100 like me, I'm actually interestingly enough, my roots do go back to Europe, like so many of us in the US do. So maybe that's just my ancestry coming out with that statement,
it's
my
just
0 to 100.
instinctual. It's just you
It's
always convert to
instinctual.
kilometers per hour.
In my head, as well as Celsius, it's around 38 outside today here. It was pretty
That's
hot,
warm. What would that
actually.
be in
That's like
Berente?
90 something, right?
It's 90.
I don't know. Well, it's double it and add 30. Never mind. It would be like 30.
Yeah, 30
30
sounds
degrees
right.
Celsius here.
Because it's like
Yeah, 30,
it's
not
been like
38.
80. It was like 85 here in Charlotte today.
It got up to 89 in
That's
Indiana.
crazy.
Isn't that
Wow.
nuts? Northern Indiana.
I would think the
89.
area where you would be at would be a little bit cooler than like other areas of Indiana.
No,
I would at least
typically it
imagine.
is because we have the lake effect coming in from Lake Michigan,
Hmm.
that pulls it down. So, but now, I mean, everything's so messed up. I think tomorrow it's going to be like 55 and raining, and today it was 89 and sunny. So
That's
it's
insane.
the weather's all over the place, which probably is why not a lot of people have electric vehicles. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, the constant back and forth between the weather might not be best for that
Yeah,
kind.
I mean, because most new EVs, or most pretty much all EVs on the road, have like a thermal management system in them. So the car will actually
Interesting. Okay.
the battery will like actively cool and heat up, depending on the. So like for instance, if you're charging in the winter, you got to warm up the
Okay.
battery, because cold temperatures mean more electrical resistance in the battery pack.
Mhm.
So then you want to warm up the battery pack to kind of lessen that resistance, because then you'll charge faster, because it's like
Yeah.
kind of like
Okay.
fighting an uphill battle trying to charge in the cold.
In
Um,
the cold. Yeah.
but yeah, usually temperatures, cold temperatures will negatively affect your range. I mean, regardless, even if you heat up the battery with the cooling system and whatever. Um, but yeah, usually warmer weather is better for an EV too. So like in the
Okay.
summer,
So like today,
um,
today would have been a perfect day to hop in
perfect.
Jules' Ford Mustang with her.
Little warm though, because because
Okay.
basically a good way to look at what will happen to your range is normal. Like if it's like 72 degrees, that's perfect, because most times your cabin in the car is going to be around like 70 degrees. So there's not going to be a
So you don't
big
need to
delta.
spend it to like AC
Exactly.
or okay, gotcha.
So then you're
Um,
at like 100 degrees. You got a 30 degree Fahrenheit delta of what the outside
it's
is
spending,
compared to the
yeah.
inside. And that's obviously your car sitting out in the parking lot is going to get up to like 140 degrees. So then you
Yeah.
get an even
Then it's
bigger
gonna have to
delta.
cool your car and then charge the battery, and then it's
Yeah.
just gonna be a mess. Well, not
But
a mess. It's gonna be doable, just inefficient.
yeah. And then when you get like really cold, like 0 degrees outside, and then you need your cabin to be 70 degrees, you got like a whole 70 mile, or sorry,
That's crazy.
70-degree delta that you got to heat up the cabin to. So that's usually why cold weather kind of eats into more of your like climate control usage than warm weather. So
Yeah,
interesting.
adds up. That makes sense. Interesting.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
very
the
nice.
Mach-E is not a. I think it's a pretty good car overall. Looks great. You got a good front trunk too, and there's drain holes in the front trunk. So what that
For
means
rain.
is you could, well, partially, but also for cookout or like tailgates, you can fill up your front trunk with ice, and you can put like beer in there, and it'd be so sick.
No! That would
Yeah,
be perfect. That would be perfect for Coachella,
it would
and
be
desert concerts. Oh my goodness. Or
100%.
like a game. Yeah, a game day. Oh my gosh. Now that is
Could you
what about
imagine going
you?
to a Clemson game day and popping open
No.
your front trunk and just have like a bunch of bush apples in the front? It would be the greatest thing
Bush
to ever
crispy.
happen.
Crispy. Picture it here. A bed of ice, 24 crisp bush light apple, a bapples right in the front, and you and your friends, you don't even need to pour it in. Can you drive there with it full of ice?
Yeah, yeah.
Or do you have to pour it in once? Oh,
No, you can drive with
wow.
the ice in, but you'll just like be a trail of water behind the car as the ice melts, but not that
You know,
dramatic.
that's okay. That's actually a great hack if you ever run out of charge or like on a long road trip. This would be a great car because you can just store water and
Yeah,
beverages in your front truck. So in case anything happens, if you're on a long trip, I mean, I don't know if the mileage reflects that. I mean, kind of. If you're on a longer-ish trip, you could store it, have a snack, no rest stop needed. Um, really, really great deal.
keep some salmon in the front trunk.
Iced, cooked already fully cooked. So that way you can
Oh, I
make it.
meant
Maybe some
raw,
bagels. Yeah.
raw salmon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I don't partake personally in the raw salmon, but if you would like that, this is the car for you. Or maybe a fully full fish, eyeball and all, scales still on, fresh
It's
catch.
like it's
You could
still
take
partially
this,
alive.
yeah, still flopping around, but you have the trunk closed, so it won't get out.
Just
An
like
aquarium. You could have an aquarium in the front of your car.
got like oh that'd be crazy.
Fully,
Like imagine you got like two lobsters in there and they're just like hanging
fully
out.
cooked. Have you seen that Alaskan man on TikTok who cooks his own food like on the rocks in Alaska?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well he does, and it could be like we should message him via TikTok and ask him if he'll cook it on a Tesla in Alaska, and see if he'll do it for that. Because we could drive the fish right out there, and then you can just cook it on the slab right there.
That'd be insane. That'd be pretty
Perfect
sick.
collab of the century. Yeah,
That would be an interesting collab. I'll have to post that on LinkedIn. Um,
yeah,
but
collab idea. I'll
yeah,
find his
no.
account and send it to you.
All right, that'll be on the bucket list. Um, so yeah, Mustang Mach-E, great car, TODR. Now we have an interesting vehicle, which is this is our final vehicle on the list of a car to buy. This one I think is gonna be a bit controversial for a lot of people, and rightfully so, because this is a controversial vehicle. But it is the Fisker Ocean, and I know what everyone's saying. Yeah, why would I recommend this vehicle? Now, I have even interviewed a bunch of Fisker Ocean owners, and a lot of their stories were pretty bad. But the thing is, a lot of people I talked with bought these cars for $70,000. Now, as the company is going bankrupt, or I think it's already bankrupt, it's pretty much defunct now. You can get these used cars for like next to nothing, and I don't mean like $16,000 is nothing. I'm saying that in reference to the brand new price of $70,000, these cars have lost a tremendous amount of money. But it's like, I mean, look at these cars. This was a $70,000 car, brand new, right here in Georgia. You can get this for 16.5 with only 20,000 miles on the odometer. I think the big issue with this car now is, how are you going to get service, etc. Valid questions, but also it is $16,500 for a car with 350 miles. Sorry, 360 miles of range and 564 horsepower, which is pretty crazy. Interior is really interesting because it was designed by none other than the Henrik Fisker, who was the CEO of Fisker. He was also, for people who are not familiar, he was also the CEO of Fisker Automotive, which also went bankrupt in 2012, and then he was the CEO of Fisker Incorporated in 20. I guess it ended in 2022, 2023, and that's bankrupt. So yeah, not a great track record for him, but the car is not terrible, and it even has a solar roof, which is kind of cool. So it adds like a few miles of range every day with the solar roof, and yeah, it also has a mode called California mode, and I'm not sure if this car dealership has a picture, but basically every window, including the back window, can roll down, and it kind of like makes the car feel like a convertible, even though it's an SUV. Um, so that's pretty cool. Charging it peaks out at like 250 kilowatts, and AC charging is like 11 kilowatts, so pretty normal. 106 kilowatt hour battery pack, which gives it its pretty massive range of 360 miles. And yeah, it's a very interesting vehicle, but definitely it's kind of a risk since the company is bankrupt. Did you have any thoughts on the car?
Well, I was just curious. So, two thoughts. First, I'm just curious because everything, I mean, as a recent expert in electric vehicles, I guess I'm not caught up on the rich history of Fisker Ocean as well as you are, one might say. But I'm just curious, you sold that so well to me, and the only issue obviously being servicing and such because it's bankrupt. But like if I were to be a great car technician and could service it myself potentially because I'm an engineer and a genius, I don't really see any issues with it. So what would you say like when you did all these interviews with people,
Yeah.
why was it so controversial?
So, okay, this was interesting. So I got even pretty up close with this car because I had a Fisker owner was I interviewed. He's like, "Hey, want to come down to Florida to drive my car?" And I literally just like met him like 30 minutes ago on Zoom, and I was like, "Okay, sure." So I went down to Florida to drive his car, and it was really interesting getting like kind of hearing this guy's story about this vehicle because he spent like 70 grand on it. So he spent a lot of money on this
Yeah.
car. And like Fisker wasn't sending him like the proper licensing and registration for the car that you're supposed to get when you get it new. So he was like, if Fisker doesn't give me this stuff, like I literally can't drive this car on the road because this was in March of
Okay.
2024. He bought the car in October of 2023 and he still had the temporary tags on the car. So like Fisker was just not really responding to him. Um, and yeah, kind of an issue there. Other people, like the car had like a scrape on the front bumper, another guy, when it was
Oh, a new
delivered,
car.
brand new car. And Fisker was
Okay.
like, don't worry, we will fix it. Spoiler alert, they never fixed it. And it's just like stuff like that where it's like people having issues. The other guy in Florida who I drove his car, the air conditioner never worked in the car and he kept trying to get it fixed and it just they weren't like being able to get it like stuff like that you're just like what is going on, like
What
you
is
should
happening?
stand behind your product. So yeah, like I would never recommend this car to like an average person who's like I just need a car to get me from point A to point B.
Okay.
I'll recommend this to like someone who's pretty tech savvy and is willing to deal with what could very well be a nightmare.
Gotcha. Yeah, but I mean, plus side, when I researched it, I saw they had a taco tray on the inside of the
Yes,
car.
taco tray.
So I did see that aspect. So not only tech savvy, but quirky and a taco lover, I feel like, are
A
two
taco lover.
necessaries.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm trying to think because it's like this is such a niche car, but like
I
I feel
agree.
like you gotta be a Dexter driving that vehicle.
That's
Like
good.
and you definitely need like you have like a vegan kombucha like sitting in
Console.
the console, and then you have
Yeah.
like a Beyond Beef taco sitting on the taco tray. I
Yeah.
could kind of imagine that. But the
I
thing
could
is,
too.
for like someone who's sustainable, they would like this car, and it's very sustainable for the fact that the company's defunct and they'll never build another car again. So
That
that's
that is true.
one.
They won't be trying to upsell you on the newer versions, you'll have that model is it.
Correct. It just does not exist. And yeah, I feel like you'd probably like. I'm just thinking you'd park the car and then on your taco tray you'd get out your notebook and
Yeah.
you'd start writing the vegan manifesto, and
Ah,
from there you would also yeah, just enjoy life, I think, is for someone driving that car until the car stops working and then you have
yeah, it
issues
implodes, yeah.
and implodes.
Until it implodes on the taco, but the taco tray stays. The taco tray, I heard a little birdie tell me it was indestructible. So
Mm,
you might, $16,000 and no matter what at the end of it, you'll have a taco tray.
that's
So
not bad.
so I'd see. But I mean, it's cool. It sucks that he went out of business because the range is so high. The battery is so like lots of super high kilowatt hour. I mean, it sounds so cool in theory. It sucks that Fisker didn't do like, that they're not still in business. I feel like someone should buy this idea and make it better or
Yeah.
something.
Well, the thing is, Fisker never really made the cars. So Fisker, basically Henrik Fisker,
Right.
designed the Fisker Ocean. Beautiful car. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
What do you think, as a recent EV enthusiast? What do you think of the looks of the car?
Yeah, as a recent, I think it looks great. I can't lie. I think it looks really cool. It seems really attractive to me as just a consumer who doesn't know the details.
Fair. So, yeah, great looking car. But then um, Fisker never made it because they basically had a company called Magna in Germany,
Okay.
or sorry, Austria, make the car. And so basically, Fisker was like, "Hey, this is our idea. Magna made the car out in Austria, and then they shipped them all to the United States to sell them, and Europe as well. So Fisker didn't even make the car; they just kind of designed it. They had another company manufacture the car, and then when you get like issues, it's like you contact Fisker, and then obviously Fisker is going to have to contact Magna to
Yeah, and it goes
okay, this
through. Then
part.
your
And
message gets, yeah.
yeah, and then the other issue too is you have the designers working on the car in California, which is you know Pacific Standard Time, and then Austria, which is that's probably what, like a 9
9
10 hour
hours
time
difference?
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a
Yeah.
huge time difference, and it's just like logistically there were a lot of issues in Fisker's plan that, and I'm not saying you can't do that because other companies obviously do that, but as a startup it's kind of hard because you like,
Yep.
and there's real like, what is Fisker at the end? Because couldn't the company just manufacturing the car just have their own brand and sell it as whatever? Because it's like, then what exactly is Fisker? They kind of like a design
Yeah.
thing, or what? So
Yeah,
yeah,
like what is the purpose? What is the purpose that they're bringing? Are they a design company? Are they a car company?
yeah,
What kind of are they doing with it? But I mean, it's interesting. It's one of the ones when I was looking into it, it was described as very, very quirky and unique. And that's something where I feel like personally, I don't really describe myself as quirky and unique. I don't know if you can attest to that. I would say out there is definitely one, but I'm not really sure if I would use that word. So when I was looking at cars, it didn't really stand out to me as much as some like the Mercedes or the Tesla Model Y did when I was looking at them. Those two were definitely my top two, I would say, as a consumer, with probably that Mercedes being number one. I know you said that it's kind of hard when you go in and you always have to pay for upgrades, but I feel like if you have the money to spare where you're really trying out an EV, you might as well go full throttle and just get that one, if you read my mark. But this car seemed like it took a very specific type of person, exactly as your example, a Dexter you might need out there to kind of bite the bullet and take it. And I just wasn't willing to give that risk if I were to be purchasing a car that way.
that's a fair assessment.
Thank you.
But yeah, and I think one other thing we should note before this episode closes, and this is specifically, I believe that Fiskars do not qualify, but if you're interested in buying an affordable EV, there is the electric vehicle tax credit, which is $4,000, and this tax credit basically takes money off the sticker price of the car. Unfortunately, on Cars.com, a lot of the EVs you see, like the Teslas, will be like 21,000, and then you read the fine print, and then they're like, oh yeah, the car's actually 25, but then we just included the 4,000 off in the price we listed, which is, we could talk about that later. But a lot of the cars you see, you have that tax credit included in the price. But basically how the tax credit works is you pay $4,000 less for the car up front. So if the car's 25,000, you basically will just write a check for 21,000 to the dealership. Obviously, pay taxes, etc. And that $4,000 is kind of covered by the government to get your EV, which is a pretty cool incentive program. Now, unfortunately, this credit could get removed with the passing of the big beautiful bill, because there's actually there's sections in there that talk about eliminating this. But we think it will probably last through 2025, even if this bill passes and gets rid of it. But overall, it's like, this is not a bad deal, or it's a great deal for the consumer because you get a good amount of money off the price of the car. But there are limits. So if you make over $75,000 a year as your Mach-E, so your modified adjusted gross income, so maybe you make like $95,000 a year, but you put 20K in your 401k, you're still under 75, so you're good. Or if you're like, for families, if they make over 150, then they won't qualify. So something to consider. But yeah, just be on the lookout for that tax credit because it can really help. But if the car was like already got the tax credit, then you can't get another one. So something to consider.
Interesting. Especially when looking at used cars. If you're like an individual trying to buy a used car, I feel like that could be a good incentive versus just a like, a family. I feel like if you're a young working individual, first job out of school, like maybe you and I might be in a year or two, not making a lot, and we find that good deal on a used car where it
Yep.
hasn't been applied yet. I feel like that's the
You find
jackpot. That's what
your
you're looking for.
2021 Tesla Model 3 for sale, and you get that tax credit
Yeah,
on it.
you might get that. I mean, that would be a great bargain, I think, for a post grad right outside of school on something like that.
Are you interested in getting an EV?
So unfortunately, I will be riding the metro every single
Oh,
day,
that's right.
um, to and from, just because
Do you
I
not need a
so,
car at all for
um
DC?
I'm not. I'm moving. Yeah, I won't be getting a car at all with
That's
me.
sick.
There, we're living in the city, so it'll be a nice metro ride to and from, a walk. I might now say if I Uber, it might be in a Tesla. We'll have to see about that.
You'll
But
splurge for
personally, I
the
don't
Uber
think
Green.
exactly. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Maybe around Christmas time with my Christmas bonus, I can get that Uber Green extra. But
But
I know
yeah,
what. So you have right now. You have a Tesla Model 3 still. You still have it.
correct. Yes,
Do you have any others, or have you had any others? Are you planning on getting any
I
of these we just ran through?
I haven't. So I've like reviewed some cars, I guess, recently. There's a Kia EV6 sitting in the driveway right now that I'm kind of like playing around with, which is fun. Um, but nothing that I own. So I have the Model 3. Before my Model 3, I had a different Model 3. That one had full self driving. And then before that
Nice.
Model 3, I had a Mini Cooper SE, which is fully electric. And before
Okay,
that, I had a Chevy Volt. So that's kind of my
which was
car
also electric.
lineage. Plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in. Oh, okay, got it. So
Yeah.
you're an electric through and through. Obviously, I shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Regardless, I guess everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope this. Sorry, my camera's weird. It's this new software thing on the Mac, and it just keeps going up and down, and it's really weird. But besides that, I hope you all found this video informative. We actually went over the hour mark. Dang. So yeah, thanks for
Oh,
watching,
wow.
and thank you so much, Tessa, for joining as a
Thanks for
co-host.
having me. I know this is so exciting. We've been talking about this collab for a while, so I'm glad to have been able to make it as an official new co-host. Co-host. Sorry if I didn't enunciate that enough. Co-host in the house. Yeah, thank you for having me. This was